This is the Rich Report, bringing you the richest content across entertainment. My name is Cameron Richardson. Joining me today on this video, David Church, the Lumberjack sports editor. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man, and I miss you, bro. Like it's been too long. We got to do this over Zoom when we could be doing it in person, but that's the world we live in. But I'm doing good, and I'm ready to talk about some UFC finally. It's been a while, but let's do it.
It's been way too long, 2 months, but finally, Saturday night, after 56 days without sports, we finally got some action. It was a very fun night, I would say, better than your average UFC card. The main event, I mean, oh my God, just absolute insanity. David, I'll let you go first on this one. What are your thoughts on Justin Gaethje's overall performance? Because this by far is the best performance he's had in his entire career.
I was completely blown away by it. To be completely honest with you, I had Ferguson winning this fight either by decision or maybe an early round knockout before the championship rounds kicked in. But I had no idea to expect that. Dude, Gaethje looked unstoppable. He looked like an absolute beast. It was an incredible domination, and to do this to a guy like Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, he was taking those shots the entire fight, and he still kept coming, and he was feeling fine. But all of a sudden, Gaethje he's able to just knock him out, or not knock him out, but just like he's continuously pressuring him the entire fight, smothering him. Ferguson had barely any offense to show in that entire fight. It was Gaethje's all the way. I had him winning both rounds 1, 2, 3. It would have been a unanimous decision, even if it went to the judges' scorecards. But to finish it like that, and we never really seen something like this from Gaethje. We know he has serious knockout power, but we've never seen him really dominate a fight like this, and especially to dominate a guy like Tony Ferguson, where he was the odds-on favorite to come into this fight. And you kind of have to look at it as maybe he was prepping for a guy like Khabib and not really prepping for a guy like Gaethje because Khabib's issues with not being able to get out of Russia. But it was complete domination. Gaethje absolutely deserved that win. I am super excited to see him fight Khabib now. I can't wait for that fight to happen. An incredible, incredible fight.
Yeah, and Gaethje's background in wrestling could really serve him well in a fight against Khabib. But man, Khabib is just it's just a whole nother animal compared to the rest of the lightweight division that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and
no one's ever come close.
Yeah, we can't really even talk about his wrestling because we didn't see any of it in the Ferguson fight. They kept it stand up the entire time. So if he's able to stand up with one of the best like Ferguson, he could do serious things to Khabib, but the main factor is going to be his wrestling because Khabib loves to smother people. He loves to just squeeze them until they have no more energy left, and he just goes in for the kill. So Gaethje's won. His cardio's got to be on top, and he's got to make sure that he's able to combat that wrestling. But if he has that kind of stand-up game, Khabib's not going to try to play with that. He's going to sit there and try to just squeeze him and wrestle him to submission, and then make that work, make it happen. But Gaethje is looking unstoppable right now, and I think he could cause serious problems for Khabib.
Yeah, and Gaethje, not only was his power there, but the accuracy. 73% of his significant strikes were landed in that fight. So, I mean, I don't think Khabib's going to want to keep on the feet for even 30 seconds because if Gaethje touches him, could spell a lot of trouble for Khabib.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
It's just like every time it seemed like when Gaethje, when they came in together for an exchange, Gaethje got the best of it. And every time they kind of went in for those exchanges and those combinations, Gaethje won all of them. It seemed like Ferguson just could not get in close enough to actually do some serious damage where he could try and win the fight. Gaethje had him the entire time. It was literally just nothing else to say but domination the entire time.
Yeah, now the dream Khabib versus Tony fights now pretty much down the drain. I mean, there's so many good fights at lightweight that it really I could do without it. While it does suck since we've had this fight scheduled so many times, next guy wanted to step up, and Gaethje is that guy. Now we get Khabib versus Gaethje whenever that fight is ready. And now we got Conor coming back into the picture, talking trash to both Gaethje. I mean, he gave some respect to Tony, but a little bit on the hatred side for Gaethje. So
Connor's Twitter is
Interesting.
on fire right now, and it is something else. But I mean, I'm not thinking about Conor McGregor right now. I'm thinking about Justin Gaethje. Conor can say whatever he wants because he's Conor, but at this point right now, it's about Justin Gaethje going after that undisputed belt to go out to win and beat Khabib. We're not talking. We're not worried about Conor right now.
Absolutely. Moving on, the co-main event for the bantamweight title, Henry Cejudo defending it against Dominic Cruz, a bantamweight legend. Cruz had some moments in the fight, especially in the second round, but on a little exchange, caught with his head down, took a knee from Cejudo, which I think he adjusted like on the fly when he was supposed to just land like a kick to the body, it looked like, but somehow he adjusted it and was able to land a knee to Cruz's face. Cruz was not happy with the stoppage, which I thought was a completely fair stoppage. I mean, he was eating shot after shot and wasn't really, he was on his way up, but I mean, Keith Peterson, no nonsense. That's his name. So if he's going to protect the fighters, and I thought Cruz was protected as he should have been.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on the stoppage. I originally was saying that might have been a bad stop because, in my opinion, if a fighter is eating punches, yes, the fight should probably be stopped. But if the fighter is in the action of going to his feet and getting up from the mat, then the ref should just stay out of it and see what happens. Because at the end of the day, these guys are fighters. They're going to get hit. It's just if you are a UFC fighter and you think you're not going to get hit, you should find a new career path because that's not how it works. So with Cruz being able to kind of withstand those a little bit, he was taking some damage, but he was still on his way up to his feet. So I still think the fight should have gone on a little bit just to see what would have happened. But at the same time, it is what it is. I did pick Cruz to win this one just because I have some issues with Henry Cejudo. We won't get into those. The King of Cringe is who he is, but whatever. It's just, I didn't honestly expect Cruz to, come out with the last time he fought was what, maybe two years ago. Like he hasn't had
Yeah,
real.
Cruz's last fight was against Cody Garbrandt back at the end of 2016.
Yeah, exactly. It's been forever, so we don't even know what his work really could have been because he hasn't had real competition. Sparring is sparring, training is training, but nothing prepares you more than actually being inside the octagon and a real opponent where the real win or loss matters. So at that point, I just don't think Cruz was able to really withstand it, but he's still Dominic Cruz. But Cejudo, that's kind of what he does. Like when he gets an opponent down, we saw it in the Dillashaw fight when they were going after the bantamweight belt. Or not with the bantamweight belt. It was for the what was it, the strawweight
Flyweight.
or flyweight belt? Yeah, excuse me. Like when he gets his opponent down, he just mashes him the entire time until the ref has no choice. Even if the fighter looks like he's about to get up, he just continues to punch until the ref calls it. And that's exactly what we saw with Dominic Cruz. So then again, I'll give where it's due. Give credit where it's due. He completely won that fight, domination. But then all of a sudden, he's retiring, like he's done. That came out of absolute nowhere.
To me, nobody's buying it. They're all seeing it as like a bargaining chip for him to get paid more. But in all honesty, he's not young anymore. He's 33. And we all forget, and I think a lot of people are going to forget that he's had an entire wrestling career when he was in his youth still. So, I mean, I think he could be a start of a trend where we see guys go out on top. Because how many guys do we see that still come back and they look worse and worse, and it sort of counteracts their legacy and where they were at in their prime. And Anderson Silva, probably the most notable of that. GSP was gone for a while, but at least he came back and won, and he's done now. Anderson Silva is not that guy. Anderson Silva should have went out on top, but no, he wanted to keep fighting, and I get it. But at the same time, the older you get, you're not gonna become a better fighter. It's not gonna change. You're just gonna your body's just gonna keep getting hurt worse and worse, and it's gonna show. And I think a guy like Cejudo, if this really is it, this is the perfect way to do it.
Yeah, and I could see definitely why he would want to, but at the same time, in my eyes, you won the bantamweight belt, and then you have your first defense of that belt, and then after you win that first defense, you say you're going to retire. That's the only thing that kind of gets me. And The bantamweight division is not as stacked as it used to be. Cody Garbrandt is not the same Cody Garbrandt. Dillashaw is still out from his suspension. We don't have that many, top guys. Maybe, Peter Yan could do something. But other than that, we don't have that much. So Cejudo leaving really kind of puts a dent in that bantamweight division. So who's going to step up if he is retiring? Who's going to step up and be the new champ? Not to mention what's going to happen to the flyweights now. Who in the flyweight division is worthy of a championship? Benavidez? Not really. Anyone else you can think of in the flyweight division? Because I can't. I don't barely even know any of their names. The
I mean,
flyweight division has been dead for a while, and I think it'll continue to be dead.
if he could make weight, I mean, Figueiredo is the best guy out there.
Yeah.
And he knocked out Benavidez, and it just made the flyweight division even worse. So it doesn't help.
You know
So,
what?
I think if Cejudo does leave, I think the flyweight division is dead.
Yeah, and for bantamweight division, it really doesn't matter if he does retire and someone else becomes the new champ. It won't matter because they're just holding it until Sean O'Malley's ready to come in and win that championship. Sean O'Malley, mark my words, is going to be a star. Don't knock it. He is for real.
I know. I love Sean O'Malley. I didn't see his last fight because I was covering NASCAR, but the guy is an absolute animal. And he liked your tweet, and your tweet kind of blew up, the one that you sent to him. So there's that as well.
The road to fame is long and troubling, but once you get there, you hate fame. So I'm just waiting till I hate myself. So it'll be great.
All right, Francis Ngannou.
I'm leaving. I'm scared. I'm still scared. I want to run. This man does not know I exist, and I'm afraid for my life. He is scary.
I love it, but at the same time, what's new that we're learning from Ngannou, or are we just getting a more powerful, a better knockout artist? It's not like his striking is getting any better. I mean, he was still throwing pretty well. I mean, that was up for whoever was going to land first, kind of exchange there. So, what do you think we're learning anything new about Francis, or are we just on the same path to another Miocic Ngannou rematch where it just looks the exact same as it did the first time around?
I don't think we have to learn anything new about Ngannou. He is one of those fighters where they may just kind of have one, top-notch arsenal, but it doesn't matter because he's so strong. He is so powerful. He hasn't lost a fight since 2018. He lost to Stipe, and then he lost to Derek Lewis right after that. But since then, no opponent has gotten out of the first round with him. Curtis Blades, gone. Junior Dos Santos, gone. Cain Velasquez, gone. Jairzinho Rosenstruck, gone in 20 seconds and dead. He's literally dead. It is absolutely insane. I don't think it matters. I'm ready to see another Francis Ngannou fight with Stipe Miocic because I don't think Francis Ngannou is the same fighter that he was when he first fought Stipe. He has learned to just rely on his power, and it works. He is the only thing that could wear him out is his cardio because Stipe has had multiple 5-round fights and won multiple 5-round fights. So that's the only issue. But if all Francis needs is one shot, he needs one shot to just drop him. Daniel Cormier dropped Stipe Miocic. So if Daniel Cormier can drop Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou can for sure drop Stipe Miocic.
Moving on, what would be a fight if you're Dana White, you're Sean Shelby, trying to determine the next couple of fights coming up after this card? What are you making? I mean, we know Khabib and Gaethje's already a thing, but what about some of the other fights that you could see?
I think in a guy who really showed what he can do is Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar did an incredible job going up against Jeremy Stephens, and I think it may be a little bit of a stretch. He is still kind of under, like a little bit down in the rankings. He was ranked 8th coming into that fight, I believe. And it might be a little bit of too much of a jump, but I would love to see a Calvin Kattar versus Brian Ortega fight. I think that's definitely a fight to make. And I don't know if they want to rush him too much to go, if he wins that fight against Brian Ortega, to go straight to the title. But I think Calvin Kattar definitely has this X factor about him where he's able to, just take fights under his own control and destroy anybody that comes in his way. So I think Brian Ortega is the next guy because I think that'd be an amazing fight. That should be at least a co-main for a pay-per-view or a main event for a fight night card.
Yeah, and Korean Zombies out there as well. Yair Rodriguez is out there. I mean, of course, when the country reopens, we can get those fights. And that's another thing too with these cards that they want to do. You're not going to get anybody internationally because they can't fly. So you're really bogged down to these 3 events this week, or in these last 2 events, and then it's sort of just up in the air. Yeah, you still have a couple of people, international fighters that are here in the country now that could probably fight, but if they're away training somewhere else, you're not going to get them. You're not going to get a Valentina for a while. You're not going to get a Joanna. It's not going to work.
Yeah,
So
it really just depends on who's available because we're still in a very, you know, unprecedented time. We've heard that phrase has been used so many times, but it is true. Like we don't know what's going to happen, so we don't know who's available. We don't know who's be able to get into the country. So it's basically just trying to piece together what you can to make a solid card. But I will give Dana and the matchmakers credit because that fight card on Saturday was incredible. That was a great fight card for the hand that they got dealt.
Yeah. I think one fight I kind of want to see and just absolute ground technicians, Ryan Hall and Bryce Mitchell. Ryan Hall loves rolling around. He likes getting really freaky on the ground, and Bryce Mitchell's just an absolute submission savage.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell.
I mean, I've never seen multiple twisters thrown in the time I've watched UFC. Bryce Mitchell tried putting in like 3 or 4 in that fight and had like 2 locked in hard.
Yeah, twisters, arm triangles. He had basically all of it. It was a great fight. Like I think Bryce Mitchell definitely has something going for him. He absolutely dominated Charles Rosa. Like absolutely dominated him. And it was like there was no way of debating it. He won that fight unanimously, and it was complete domination both in the stand-up game and on the ground game. I think that fight could definitely do something. Bryce Mitchell is definitely some guy to watch. He definitely is a prospect for the featherweight division.
Absolutely. Moving topics now. Yesterday, Money in the Bank. Yes, we also talk professional wrestling here because pro wrestling's fun. I hate the people that are like, "Oh, it's fake. Why are you watching this?" It's like
it brings the entertainment value to sports, and if you've grown up watching it, it's hard to get rid of it. I've tried to get rid of it multiple times, but I can't. But after last night, I'm pretty much ready to get rid of it. I'm done. It's gosh.
So we're gonna address the elephant in the room. Yes, Otis of Heavy Machinery. It's all 5'10", 300 plus pounds in all of its glory. Was written as the Money in the Bank winner. When you have guys like AJ Styles and Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio all in the mix, Otis is the winner of the Money in the Bank. It was really campy, if I'm being honest. The whole entire cinematic match. It wasn't much of a storytelling. It's more so, hey, let's just goof around, have some fun until it's time to actually have someone win the ladder match. It wasn't the cinematic storytelling that we got in Undertaker versus Styles or Cena and the Fiend at WrestleMania. It was just, hey, let's goof around, let's have a food fight. Not really much of sort of storyline when it comes to going down the line. What I did find interesting, though, which I think could, if Undertaker is not injured and wants to, get in shape for one more go at it. AJ Styles having like this PTSD sort of trauma over being buried alive by the Undertaker. They teased that in the Money in the Bank match, and I think we have that going on for like a year. Don't do it every week, but sort of just, hey, here's this reminder, and then come next WrestleMania season, they have a sort of loser retires match, sort of like the Ric Flair Shawn Michaels fight.
Yeah, I think
that would be the gateway to Undertaker's. That's the end. Of course, I don't think Undertaker wants to go out with a loss, but that'd be the best way for Undertaker to leave. It'd be the most understandable at this point.
Well, here's the thing about that. Undertaker's old school. Back in those days, if you were ready to, hang up the boots and call it a career, you went out on your back. That's how he was. That's how he was bred to be. And we kind of saw it, back when he fought Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Roman won. He's one of two people to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. And, it looks like Undertaker's calling a career. He leaves his coat and hat in the ring. He leaves his gloves in there, and it seems it's over. But then all of a sudden he's coming back. So if that were going to be something, I think that'd be a great piece of long-term storytelling. And with the AJ Styles and Undertaker it wasn't really, I guess, the PTSD of getting buried by the Undertaker in that one office room in the corporate ladder Money in the Bank match. God, good Lord. Anyways, I think that's a great sense because it shows it's a good form of long-term storytelling. And I think that was the best part of the match, in my opinion. I think, tiling back to, an event that's still in our minds and still clear that can still be a possibility. And Undertaker loves AJ Styles. Undertaker thinks that AJ Styles is the closest thing to Shawn Michaels that we have on the current roster. And I don't knock him for that. AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So it definitely could happen. God, ugh, John Laurinaitis, John frickin' Laurinaitis, all the brought back all the new legends, all the crazy people who work at corporate. Stephanie McMahon's like, that's not the real Money in the Bank. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. Vince McMahon makes an appearance, which I will get into my rant later because I have a huge rant that I want to get out. But it was
Let it go now.
All right, fine, I will. Vince McMahon should not be running WWE right now. He is 74 years old. What 74-year-old should be running a multi-million-dollar company? Not him. No. He's not in the right mindset. He is getting sued by Andrew Luck's dad because he was the commissioner of the XFL, and the XFL issues are all up in the air because of how much money he lost. He had to release so many great wrestlers when he didn't really need to because they had money in the bank, pun intended, to support wrestlers and their paychecks. But he decided to get rid of a lot of them who were seriously tenured people. Even referees got released. I have a huge issue with Vince McMahon right now, and it really is ruining wrestling for me because
going back to that day was just really odd because there's a lot of great talent. Some of them it was like, okay, this makes sense, but then you let possibly the most notable referee go and Mike Chioda, and you let a rising star in NXT and the cruiserweights and Lio Rush go, who I think could have won this cruiserweight tournament that they're doing right now. It was odd. It was
Gallows
odd
and
to
Anderson.
say the least.
Gallows and Anderson were just on the WrestleMania card. They technically were in or a part of a WrestleMania main event because it was with 2 nights and they ended out night 1. And then you go and release them. Those two are veteran guys who do great, bad guy work. They do amazing work to get cheap heat from the fans, and people love them. They're hilarious. Go listen to their podcasts. They're awesome. And it sucks to see it happen to those two guys because they're great people. And it sucks to see everybody get released like that. But, back on the Money in the Bank, I thought it was a decent fight card. I thought it was a decent, area of television where they had to do what they could in the situation. I did not like the Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt fight. I shouldn't be calling these a fight. They're wrestling matches. But anyways.
Seth Rollins' new theme is garbage. It's the most generic crap that could be spewed out.
It works for his gimmick right now. I don't know if I necessarily
I hate the gimmick. I absolutely hate the gimmick.
But I mean, he's got to do something to switch it up because he was getting boring. So try something new. I think he could be a great heel for a guy like Drew McIntyre. And I really enjoyed that match between them. But
those two are two of the best in-ring performances they have now. But yeah, their mic abilities are a little bit lacking.
Yeah, but the Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman match, I love Bray Wyatt. I absolutely love everything he's doing. He honestly could be the change in wrestling that we need. His character is incredible. It is one of the best, character working, one of the best in-depth characters that we've seen in a very long time. But Braun Strowman fought Bray Wyatt. He didn't fight The Fiend. So what is the casual viewer supposed to think? that the Fiend is this almost unstoppable monster that can win anything, and then Bray Wyatt gets a match and he's easily beatable. Like it doesn't make sense. There were still some, like supernatural or mind game feels to the match, but it just still didn't compute with me well. Don't I don't like the idea of Bray Wyatt losing. I think he needs to be protected at all cost. I would much rather have a guy like Bray Wyatt be a champion than Braun Strowman. I just think Braun Strowman's kind of one-dimensional in his character. He's a big guy. He beats people up. That's it. We've seen that so many times. We've never seen something like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, okay, what? And I think him, if he would have, sort of fallen back into that black sheep, sort of joined back up with Bray Wyatt, and we get, Firefly Funhouse Sevens with Braun Strowman, I think that's a lot more interesting character. It adds more to just, I'm this big guy. I mean, when he won the tag team titles with that kid, I think his name was Nicholas, right? I mean, that was, at least it was fun. It added something more. It's like, he's not just this big giant guy. He's actually, likable personality too. But yeah, other than just being, literally his theme music, that's all we have. And yeah, I think WWE needs to work on if Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are one and the same, or if they're just two different wrestlers in general.
For a second, I actually thought that was the way they were going to go, with Braun Strowman just, kind of keeping the black sheep mask on and just, laying down and letting Bray Wyatt win the championship. I thought that would have been an incredible storyline where you can build that up to where Braun Strowman joins Bray Wyatt once again, is basically, when Bray Wyatt has a match, Braun Strowman faces him. When The Fiend has a match, Braun Strowman is nowhere to be seen because The Fiend doesn't need help. Bray Wyatt, the man, may need help. I think that would be a great piece of storytelling. And then you can build that up to when Braun Strowman is finally able to break free once again, make it a SummerSlam match. That would be a great match where Braun Strowman actually has that, good guy feel and the crowd behind him, and build up to an actual win like that. I think that'd be a great piece of storytelling. But, WWE seems to just always go the easy route in this point. And it really is a mess. I wish Triple H was running everything. It'd be great, not just great wrestling, but great TV if Triple H was running everything. But obviously Vince McMahon is not going to let go of the reins until he dies. Just how it is.
Yeah. So I want to know what your beef with Asuka is, because you were disappointed in Asuka winning the women's Money in the Bank match. I've never had a problem with Asuka. I think she's hysterical when it comes to her on the mic. She just screams and yells, and it's hilarious. And then her in-ring talent is incredible. So I still want to know what your beef is.
If we were talking about NXT Asuka winning the Money in the Bank, I have no problem with it. I think it's great. We're talking about WWE Vince McMahon's Asuka, where she just goes on screen, screams and yells, and it's funny to him. Vince McMahon makes decisions on what he thinks is funny. Why do you think Otis won Money in the Bank? Do you see Otis actually being a champion, a top champion in WWE? No, you don't, because he shouldn't be. He is great for what he is, a comedy guy who can do good ring work and do good character work, but he's not a top champion. He's not someone that can lead a company like that. He's a joke. And I mean that in the best way I can. He's a joke, but it's not in a meaning saying that he can't, he's a bad guy or a bad wrestler. He's great, but he's great for what he is. With Asuka, she could have just been, if she just continued to make her the unstoppable, Japanese beast like she was in NXT, I'd have no problem with it. I think the best person to win that Money in the Bank would have been Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna Baszler is getting absolutely underutilized, and it's going to be another example of a absolute great NXT wrestler going up to the main roster and getting absolutely ruined. Just look at Ricochet. What has Ricochet been doing in a tag team because they doesn't believe in him anymore?
And that's a very fun tag team, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's very fun. But
then they were like, okay, let's build them up. They sort of were on this win streak, and then they lose to these brand new Aussie dudes. I didn't even heard of these guys until they fought Ricochet and Cedric, and now they beat them, and they're still back to, now we got to build it up again. I mean, I don't get what they're doing. You have the most entertaining guy in possibly the entire wrestling business, And it's just like, oh, well, here, we'll just, you could do all this, but in like early on in the show, and nothing of significance. It's just, oh, he wins, and
We
there
could
he is.
talk for days about how many people from NXT got called up and got absolutely ruined. Like before he, got actually the push that he needed, Drew McIntyre was treading water. Ricochet, like we said, gosh, who else? There's so many.
Viking Raiders when they were the War
Viking Raiders,
Raiders.
thank you. The Viking Raiders, you're going to call them the Viking Raiders. And first of all, when they first debuted, they were called the Viking Experience. What are they, a tribute band to Vikings? Like, oh gosh, it just makes no sense. But the wrestling fans are just, they're wrestling fans. You can't knock them for their passion. And we're like those people, because even though I'm saying I'm canceling my WWE Network subscription, I know I'm not, because I'm still going to watch it when I want to. But it's just, sometimes it's tough being a wrestling fan, specifically a WWE fan.
Yeah, I mean, was there anything? Oh yeah, Tamina shows up for no reason whatsoever. Still trying to push Tamina in some way.
I actually think that's a decent rivalry, because Tamina does good. Like, she doesn't do great, good guy work or good girl work, but Bayley's heel character is great. I actually really enjoy it. I'm waiting for them to finally pull the trigger on Sasha turning on her, so they can have that match again and actually have something where it has some substance, rather than them just, them playing hot potato with the title. I want them to have a lengthy rivalry back like in their NXT days, because, lightning doesn't strike twice, but with these two, it's definitely possible, because they're just that good and have that much chemistry.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna happen at WrestleMania, and they were teasing it. They were saying it was gonna happen. All the cards are reading it was gonna happen, and no, it didn't happen. That'll do it for this episode. David, thank you for coming on. David will be back to talk baseball, NFL sometimes, but definitely our top MMA and pro wrestling guy. David, thanks for coming on. We will see you on the next episode.